We are back for episode number 8 of the Coach's Compass. It's your boy, Coach Coop, and my boy, Jay, and we got a special guest with us, John Falk, out of Switzerland, but he's been many different places all over Europe. And as always, guys, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, comment on this episode. We appreciate all the love. But long and amazing career here in Europe, playing for a lot of the top teams, including the Thorny Black Panthers, New Yorker Lions, the Helvetic once were Guards, now Mercenaries, Yellow Jackets, and plenty more teams throughout Europe. Most important, and also in the NCAA, right? But most importantly, he is also one of us. He is a strength and conditioning coach, has worked with many athletes across Europe, all the way from the youth to the adult level, from the GFL to the ELF, and all other leagues, not only just working with football, but working with other athletes too. He is the owner of Pat Coaching. He just opened up his own gym in January. So 2024, January, my boy opened up his own gym. He is also coaching, not only playing, but coaching the linebackers with the Mercenaries, assisting the DC, and coaching a Division II team. That is a lot on the resume right there, right? That's pretty impressive to be able to coach, play, and also coach another team, and then also still be doing your own company, running your own gym. So welcome, John. It is a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for myself to be with you out there. When you do that resume that way, it looks like it looks like way better than when I'm living that. It's like, it's amazing what I'm doing, and yeah, you make it great. It looks like a great guy you're describing right now.
Man, hey, that's one of the careers I think a lot of people, want to go down and kind of see, especially coming over here to Europe and also getting a chance to play in America. But my first question for you is, man, what got you into football, and then what then sparked your interest to go into strength and conditioning?
This is like you might find like funny. This is I didn't plan to start football at first. So I'm a ice hockey player. Switzerland, ice hockey is like a big thing. I mean, in the US as well, but as a small country, I would say like it's one of the top sport we have. And I was playing this when I was very young, and because of like we don't have like ice place everywhere in Switzerland, it was like far away from my parents, so I had to stop. And then when I reached like 20, 22, 23, I wanted to do something against with collision or impact as a sport. And I said, okay, I don't want to relay on other guys. So I'm going to do box, like English box, like the classic box. And I went to that training place, opened the door, introduced myself to the coach. And the guy said, well, we don't have space for a new guy. I went back and looked at on the field next to it, and there were guys playing American football. And I said, oh, damn, what am I going to do this? So that's the way I started football. So I was like 23 years old when I started football. 23 years old.
23 was the first time you played football.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm a multi-sport guy. When I was young, I did like
Right.
4 or 5 sports, all that stuff. And I think, you build some athletic qualities, then you can transfer on different sports, and probably hockey helped me with the collision part, and other sports, with playing, on the field with different people, and yeah, so that's the way I started, and then how I get into strength and conditioning is honestly back in 2015 when I started football in 2014, when I wanted to train, because I saw it was like a physical sport, I was like, okay, who can help me? And no one could help me in Switzerland get like into the sports, at that point. The only player were doing some strength and conditioning was either bodybuilding or powerlifting or nothing. And I was like, well, I'm not sure that's the way to play American football. I guess those guys in NFL, they train for that. I mean, So I just go on internet and type, like at that time there were no Instagram, so that was just like YouTube, and I just type, okay, linebacker NFL workout, and I end up to see a workout from Patrick Willis and Ryan. And then I saw Ryan Cushing, and I say, well, that guy is a beast. And I mean, he played without a helmet sometimes, just like knock people down. And I was like, okay, I'm sure that guy know how to train. So I go back on Google and type Ryan Cushing workout plan. And then I ended up with Joe DeFranco, a strength and conditioning coach,
Yeah.
who just released a 12 weeks program of Ryan Cushing. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that for like the entire off season. Go back and forth the 12 weeks, sprinting, jumping, throwing stuff, lifting, learning that we need to do some plyo, unilateral stuff, and all that shit. And I said, okay, well, I did my first season and then get into the US. And after 1 year and a half, I had to go back in Europe. And when I get back in Europe, I say, damn, now I need to find a way to help those guys in Switzerland to train because we don't know how to train. So I did my certification with Joe DeFranco, and then I opened up the pack. So Joe DeFranco has been my first mentor in strength and conditioning for American football players. So that's the way I started football. That's the way I started strength and conditioning.
So we go back to
No, get it, Coop.
yeah, like 2014, 2015. We're talking 10 years ago, and there were no strength and yeah. I know. Hey, for a lot of these kids right now, they're gonna look at this and be like, "You guys didn't have Instagram, like
No,
what? Like you're yeah, you're going on YouTube and stuff looking up." But like that's like there were no strength and conditioning coaches here that were like because I didn't come over here my first year until 2017, and it was still kind of like what you're talking about. People training like bodybuilders and doing powerlifting for American football. So that's wild to hear. Like even because 10 years is a big gap, right? But
10 years
it's
is
still
big.
not.
I mean, if you look at
Yeah,
NFL tape now from 10 years ago, it's yeah, I mean, the Giants were good at that point, so it's like far away.
but that's crazy that like you went from ice hockey to put like trying to go into boxing to getting into American football and then getting to the States. How did that process work out to get to the States?
I think it's a matter of opportunities you decide to seize or not. And back in the days, I was working I'm a Swiss guy. I played ice hockey and I was working in wealth management. Okay, so this is like I was really a Swiss guy. And so I was working in wealth management, living by the lake. So really a Swiss guy, classic guy. And we had like an import, a very good quarterback who played also in Austria, Anthony Gardner. He played also Badalona Drax. He played with Silverhawks in Ljubljana and get like some final in Austria. He was really good at that point and played D1 in Hawaii. And then he went to the school in Baldwin Wallace to finish his college years. And when I was playing with him, I was like, well, Swiss football is good, but I really want to try to challenge myself and go somewhere. And in 2015, the guys were talking about the New York Alliance, the Swarco Raiders, Schwäbische Unicorns, and I was, well, okay, I'm gonna type to those guys. So I texted a bunch of teams, and then the quarterback said, well, but why you don't want to play college? And I said, well, I'm 20, 23, 24. So, I mean, I'm done with school and stuff. I'm working. And he said, well, in NCAA, they don't care about the age. It's just like years of eligibility. And I said, okay, well, text your coach. So he texted the coach. He sent like a shitty highlight tape, like second division, like from the sideline stuff. And I was like, okay,
Ground
well,
level.
send it. I mean, we don't have like camera and stuff, so people were filming, barely filming, with low quality at that time, no HD, nothing like this. And then I received an email. Yeah, we watch your tape. I mean, you look athletic. Do you want to come and play for us? I said, well, can I get like a scholarship? He said, yeah, you can have like a international student scholarship and an athlete scholarship. So I said, okay. Then I sell my car, quit my job, tell my parents I'm gonna leave Switzerland and go back to school in Ohio and play American football. And they were like, aren't you crazy? I mean, you have a job in wealth management, you're 24, you have like very a comfortable life. And I said, I don't give a shit about the comfortable life. I want to leave with football. And I'm going to find a way, no matter what, never go back in the office to work, find a way to work with sports. And that was my goal. I said, okay, I'm going to go to college, play football, get the experience as much as I can, learn stuff. I didn't pretend to play, it was just, I want to get there, learn, and then I'm going to figure it out what I'm going to do when I'm back in Switzerland to live from football or sports in general. That was the plan.
Right. Yeah, that's impressive to be able to, because I know we were probably filming with the camcorders to get the film sent over and everything like that. While you were over there, because obviously it's a little bit different how we treat football in the States. And obviously the strength and conditioning side is completely different than what you were used to over here. What did you learn from the strength and conditioning on that side?
Well, first of all, I was training in Switzerland in a classic gym, like a fitness, not even gym, like a fitness with machine and all that stuff. So I have no clue what I was doing. The first time I did a deadlift, I just put 200 kilos on the bar and lifted up with a terrible form. But I mean, no one was explaining to me how to do it. So the first day I reached preseason camp, there we got testing, and I didn't receive like the summer strength and conditioning program, so I have no idea the test we were about to do, no idea. So I didn't prepare myself. I went there, they just give me like an email, yeah, tomorrow bring your cleats, bring like a short and gym shoes, and we're gonna lift and run. I said, okay, whatever. So I went there. We started with what they call the Stinger B. That was like a aerobic test. It was down from the end zone to the 10 yards back, 15 yards back, 30 yards back, 50 yards back, 30 opposite back, 15 opposite back, end zone and back in less than 2 minutes, something like this. And I was okay. Well, we started that way. I was like, well, that's hard because I never do it. We started that way. Then we went through some the pro shuttle, the L drill, the 40-yard dash, and I never run this before. I mean, at that point, I ran like a 4.68 or something, and the coach said, "Well, damn, you're fast." I was like, "I have no clue. I mean, just like run for the first time, I 40." So, and yeah, we did like the bench press. I never put like 100 kilos on the bar before, and all that stuff. And I was like, well, this is like totally different than what I've been doing so far when I was in Switzerland, and amazed by the facilities. There were like in the university, like 4 gyms, 2 public gyms, 2 gyms, 1 gym for the athletes and 1 gym for the football team. So I was like, well, we have our own gym. That's good. Full of those beautiful racks with the logo and all that stuff. And so everything was scripted per position, per your target goals and all that stuff. So I learned that there were like programs based on your needs per position and also per individuals, like based on the assessment they have done. You were like a program that was fits for you, and per position with benchmark and testing and score you want to reach, chasing your weights as well, all that stuff. So that was very like new to me, but I love that because I like when things are straight. You know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it. So yeah, this was like my first experience with the strength and conditioning stuff there.
Nice. What were some of the biggest things that I feel like you got, like you gained from being in America, from American football perspective, and like the strength and conditioning perspective that you try and implement here?
So if we talk only about like strength and conditioning first, I would say is the structure. Understanding there is like the off season stuff, there is like the preseason stuff, and then the in season, and understanding that you take care of the preparedness of the game, the intensity, and the volume. And you need to manage those three criteria in order to have peak performance when you need to. And that's something I've dealt here is when a player likes lifting, for example, and you get into the season, they don't want to reduce the volume because they like lifting. And on the other side, when you take a player who doesn't like lifting, when they get into the season, they want to stop lifting because they just want to play. And that's something, I think is hard for them to understand is your sport is football. Strength and conditioning is there to help you to perform and sustain in the game. But it's not a sport, lifting. If you want to do like a sports related to lifting, you do either like Olympic lifting or you do powerlifting. But if you play football, you're going to use those components to play better, or at least help your potential to play better. So that was the first thing regarding like strength and conditioning is the structure and how strength and conditioning can help you to perform, but also sustain in the game, preventing injuries. And regarding football, I learned pretty much everything because in Switzerland, I had no clue what I was doing. I mean, I had people who draw, some zone on the card, and yeah, read pass and run. If it's a pass, you just get in that zone. Okay, all right. And then what I'm doing, we were not talking about who you read, which technique you're using, which footwork you're using, what is your assignment on the run, on the pass, all those like simple stuff, like, and I was like, okay, so there's technique to use. I mean, like I'm dropping. Okay, I'm dropping. First of all, it's not always zone or man. It could be like a match stuff. All right. So that was totally new for me. And then, okay, so I start to understanding that I shouldn't read my position on a playbook to memorize what I'm doing, but there is a scheme and logic scheme, and you need to understand how things work all together because what you're doing is just 1/11 of the whole picture. So yeah, I understand football basically, because I had no clue what we're doing. And when I get back in Europe, I understand that most of the coaches don't know what they're doing. So if they don't know what they're doing, how they can help to develop players if they can help explain what they're doing from the playbook. So yeah, I learned that we don't know anything. Strength and conditioning wise and football wise, I learned that here we don't know anything, basically.
So then when you came back and you and you were realizing that, man,
I know it's hard. I'm not going to say that everyone is like this. It's just like a general statement that
yeah,
in comparison to the US, we are so far behind, and I think in a wheel of apprenticeship, the first step is you don't know that you don't know. And as long as you don't confront yourself with someone who knows and oh fuck, I realize I don't know, then I need help. As long as you are stuck in the first step of I'm sure I know because I'm playing Madden and I'm winning in Madden, then that works. As long as you are in that mode, no one can help you. No one. And so you need to be ready to say, okay, you know what? I don't know, but I want to learn. So I'm going to find someone who knows how to do shit and he's going to teach me. And then I'm going to start to learn. And then when you master that, then you can teach. And I think it's a part of the process of learning is put your ego aside, and when you do this, then you're able to grow as a player, as a coach. And that was my first step when I started football. I was like, okay, I don't know how to train, and I know I don't know how to train. So I'm going to find someone who knows how to train, and I'm going to do it. And just trust that, and then I learn. I wanted to learn more, so I do a certification, and then I can teach. But if I was stuck in the first place, okay, you know what? I'm going to do biceps curl. I'm going to do bodybuilding shit. because I know that's the way to do it, I would have still right now stuck in that first place of I'm sure I know, but I don't know. Basically,
That, that's
this is my perspective.
that's
No,
about
that's huge.
that's as real
That's
as it
as
gets,
real as it gets.
because like we said, we came in from America, so we're seeing what's happening over here, and we're like, yo, like you, like that's not really supposed to be how you're training, to be an American football player. And we get what you're saying, because I mean, Jay's been lucky, like we all know, been in the same place for 8 years, but obviously he's
Yeah.
seen some things. But I've had a career where I've been to multiple teams and I've seen, the coaching level and then the strength and conditioning level, and you're like, ooh, hold up, like that doesn't really fit in. But when you came back and you know now, right, like you've learned these things, how did you get teams to buy in and athletes to buy into what you were trying to do with strength and conditioning?
So first, I would say I don't know, but I know more. This is the difference, I mean, we're always in a process of learning. So what I was doing like 3 years ago, it's not exactly the same I'm doing right now. I'm trying always to learn. I mean, from other guys like you, I watch what you're doing. I like some stuff. I say, oh, that's cool. I never do that. I try to learn, and I think that's the thing. It's never being satisfied of what you're doing as a player, as a coach, as whatever you do in life. If you are satisfied, you're dead, basically. And so that's what I think, successful people, doesn't matter if you're doing like artistic stuff, entrepreneur stuff, or sports stuff. You need to understand that what you know is never enough and things change. And so the buy-in process is, for example, when I look at European players and American players, the first thing I noticed is the speed. Like strength wise, American players are not like stronger than European players, but when you look at the 40s or the 10-yard splits, it's amazing at the same age how the American are way faster. Like the combine, when you look at the combine score, many players can get the same amount, on bench press, of broad jump, or just like pure like athletic stuff. But when it comes to running, I mean, there is like a huge difference between the European guys and the US guys. So that was to me like, yeah, we trained wrong. I mean, and we started way too late, because you guys have the chance, in high school, you have strength and conditioning. In high school, we learn how to dance in the gym, basically. Like the gym, when we do gym, we learn how to dance. We learn how to do some sports, but just recreational, nothing like performance wise. And you guys have been taught to run, do some mobility stuff, jumps, plyometrics. So you start with like way more experience when you get to 19 years old than us, because basically football in Europe, for most of the team, there is nothing before U19. So at U19 you discover football, and you discover that you need to do strength and conditioning and speed stuff and mobility. And the thing is, the sports you have been playing before, it's probably soccer, and strength and conditioning in Europe in soccer suck. They just play.
Not lying.
They just play. They like to play. So they play all year long, and that's it. So the level of speed is that way. And so to answer your question, that was, how can I get guys buy-in? When I started my program, I just wanted to have like 10 clients, to be honest. I was like, well, I'm going to do this, get some more money aside. And I said, okay, I'm gonna try to find 10 to 15 ambassadors in Europe. They want to receive a free program, and they just show what I'm doing with them. And so my first one was Nikolai Schumann, and now he's a great friend of mine. We played together in Braunschweig, and I'm still coaching that guy right now. And I choose him. Also, Mike Gentili from Schwäbisch Hall Unicorn. That was the guy I was working with. So I started with those guys and say, okay, I'm gonna send you like free a program. Just when you're performing, do some stories. That was the beginning of Instagram for me, and I think the community just grew because they were seeing like great players in Europe doing this and having like a specific strength and conditioning for football. And then that went way bigger than I thought. So that was not that hard at the beginning for me to grow the community, but outside of Switzerland with the players who were playing in JFL mostly. In Switzerland, that was harder because people take that sport as a leisure sport, not really performance, and we have that mentality of you can play football and drink beers and don't go to the gym, and that's not mine. Mine is football. It's not something you can just do for fun, and you don't protect your body. It's like boxing. I wouldn't put my kids on the ring against Mike Tyson for 30 seconds. Yeah, just have fun. Go there and see what happens. When you play football, it's a collision sport. So as a collision sport, you need to protect yourself, and I think it's not there yet in the majority of mentality. If you can't hit the gym off season and in season, you can't play football. For me, it's a non-negotiable. There is zero compromise. And if you at some point you say, I don't have time to go to the gym, yeah, for myself, and I'm very straight, you can play. And I think it shocked some players to have that speech, but for me, that's the boundaries. Is if you can do that, just do another sport because football is not for you. There is no way around. And so right now, I think I started to change the mentality in some clubs in Switzerland, and they understand this because I'm part of the Swiss national team. So I have introduced, some benchmark stuff and the way to work out, and with some years also in the industry, people, they've started to see you guys posting programs, myself posting program, and at some point, if you're a player and you're like, well, I'm still not doing like strength and conditioning, but all those guys are doing, I'm probably wrong. So it's, they are starting to see right now I'm not more in the majority of players not doing it. I'm in the minority of players not doing it. So I'm wrong. But years ago, when I was starting to do this, only a minority of players were buying into the program. So all the majority of the players were probably thinking, what I'm doing is enough because all the other guys are doing the same as myself. And now I think things are changing with all the guys, all the good coaches we start to have in Europe, as I said, like you guys, and people just need to open their eyes. If they are not doing it, they are wrong.
Ah,
I
sheesh.
don't know what you
I
think,
mean,
guys. That's my
nah,
perspective.
I know from my side, I completely agree. It's just it's always it's refreshing to hear a European come over and kind of give the guys the mindset and let them know that, hey, if you're not going to hit the gym, this isn't the sport for you, right? Like just flat out say that because I say in Europe it's a little more cushy um, to how we treat American football because, like you said, it was a leisure sport before. It wasn't until
Yeah.
the ELF came around that everybody now is kind of treated that's in the ELF is treated like professional. So that part has kind of changed the game a little bit. But before, like you said, it was leisure. So guys just felt like you could take it as a leisure, as a hobby, and just, hey, I just show up to practice. I put my pads on, and yeah, I'm a football player, right? But there's so many other little parts that come into it that it's like I said, it's refreshing to hear a guy come in and just like, hey, like you got to do this if you want to be good at what you're doing, and also just to put respect on the game.
Yeah,
Because the
exactly.
game of
Respect.
football teaches you so much.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that.
No, yeah,
Respect the game.
totally. Oh no, and also a lot of respect too for you, just like having a great perspective on, just like you saying, knowing what you don't know and actively going out and searching for information. Like dropping in what you had here in Switzerland and going to America to, obviously for that opportunity, but searching for information and having direction on, okay, let me look for Patrick Willis and that leading you to James DeFranco and a great mentor in that, and because I feel like a lot of people are very, stuck in their mindset and things that they do, especially I've noticed it here just with my team, some players here, but like, a lot of guys are stuck in their ways and don't really feel like asking questions. But no, yeah, being open-minded like you were and knowing that you don't know what you don't know, but actively trying to change that.
Yeah.
That's huge, especially in our
I
field.
think, and I've read some stuff lately that was like, if you can put like, invest in yourself for your sports, probably it's not a priority. And there are, like words and action. And I see a lot of players, they want to go in the NFL, they want to go in college, they see the results, they just see the results, on Instagram, like all those guys with the likes, with the fame and all that stuff. And when you ask them, hey, can you put like 40 euros a month in a program? And they're telling you, no, I can't afford that. I mean, but they have like an iPhone of 1K euros, And those guys, I'm like, well, so it's not that you can afford. It's just like you can match your words with your actions. Because, I mean, right now you can find some affordable, strength and conditioning that were way much better than doing nothing for pretty much like a low price. And I think right now with that generation of distractions, they've probably, lose the sight of purpose. And
Yep.
our generation were not into social media. So when we were doing something, that was only for us. Right now, I'm pretty sure some of those guys, even if they are not like understanding this, but they are not doing for them. They are doing for recognition from others people, like having picture with shoulder pads, and a face mask and your eye shield and all that stuff, the sleeve and all that stuff. So you can pretend that you're a football player, but you're not putting the action to become a football player. And that's something I have a real problem with this, is when you're not matching your words with concrete actions, And
Yeah.
it's not a lack of opportunity, like when I see you guys, I mean, you both have been running Speed Academy. You in Denmark, you're doing in Stuttgart, and I'm doing this in Switzerland. Some I'm doing, there is A3 in France is doing this with the Musketeers and all that stuff. So guys have opportunities to run like programs and get better at what they're doing, but they just like feels, well, that's too much for me. But I still pretending that football is everything for me in my life, which is wrong. And I have like a real problem with this lack of coherency. Like it's just like, yeah, you're saying something, but when I look at your action, it's totally different.
Yeah, for sure. So when you get guys that are coming to you and asking you for programs, or trying to get ready for a camp or something like that, how do you navigate the guys that truly want it and the guys that are kind of just there for the clout?
At the beginning, I was accepting everyone, or I would say begging to get guys, because you started like a company, you obviously you need to get started, you need some money, you're scared not be able to live from it. And then I realized, I don't want to work with everyone. I mean, I want to make sure that the guys that will work with me, they're gonna invest into it, because I'm gonna invest with my players. When someone starts with me, it's like a partnership. I'm coaching him, so I'm gonna invest time to make sure I will do everything possible to get him to his goals and beyond. And when you put so much energy and the guy don't give a shit, it's very frustrating, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys have been experienced this as well. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna give my best, I'm gonna adapt the plan, I'm gonna text him, I'm gonna correct him, I do as much as I can, and that guy just like, oh, I keep forgetting to go to the gym, I forget to film, I forget to send the feedback, I didn't tell you that I'm gonna have like a game next week, I didn't tell you I get injured. And you feel like, well, the guy is not giving, like what you deserve, like for your investment. And I reached a point and said, okay, now I'm gonna change the way a player starts with me. So at first I introduced like they need to fill like a Google form, a Google Doc, where there are like, I wouldn't lie, 12 to 10 box they need to tick, like what I'm expecting from them to do. And it's like, if I want to gain speed, for example, I need to find a way to get to a field, because I cannot like magically, build a field next to his apartment. So he need to find a place he can sprint, right? Also, like, he's responsible to give me a feedback by Saturday, 12 o'clock. If he doesn't give me a feedback, he doesn't get a plan. And so he tick those boxes. And at the end of those boxes, there are also, he understand that he need to commit for 4 months, because I need to make sure that guy is committed. And I need like a first month to assess the guy, understand how he's working, get us to know each other, and get some results in between 12 to 16 weeks. And if a guy is like, well, I'm not sure, I'm going to just do 1 month, I will say, you know what, just buy a program on the internet, do your stuff. I'm not going to like start to invest myself in you. And I don't know if you want it. If you want it, you know it. Like, if you can say yes, it's a clear no, basically, to me, right now. So I reached that point, or you want to work with me, you can trust that I'm going to do my best, but I need like at least a commitment. And the last thing, I make sure I start directly with them with some discipline and accountability, I make sure that when a guy is going, like he's losing his track, like he give me his goals, he tick those boxes, and as soon as he go away from this, I took a screenshot of what he wrote and say, yeah, you know what? That's your words, that's not mine. So you know what you have been expected, and you're not doing it. So why should I keep sending you a program? So I make sure, to be a bit harder on those guys that what they have been used. Because right now, every time you speak straight to someone, it takes it bad. Like, it's like an offense. Like, oh shit, someone, is arguing with me, and they are starting to make excuses. And I don't have time for excuses. Either you do it or you didn't do it. The reason why you didn't do it, I don't give a shit. You just like basically didn't do it, I mean, and when you're telling me you don't have time, just leave my life for a week. And then, I mean, we're gonna talk about time management, but I mean, I hate excuses. And you guys, you know what it takes, to do some sacrifices, to prioritize some stuff. So we all have like 24 hours in a day. We all have like 7 days in a week, and we choose how we use it. So yeah, I try to really be like hard a little bit, but it's just to make them understand they need like a structure. And without the structure, they won't achieve anything. I don't know how you guys handling this. Maybe I'm crazy, and now you're laughing because I'm a bit like a crazy guy.
I don't really do online programming as much, but I love like how you already like you kind of you set a market for these athletes and let them know like there's a certain level of accountability and discipline that that if you can't fall within these lines, I don't need your money.
Yeah.
It's just like there's a certain investment that you're willing to put into these athletes, and that I'm not here to collect cash. Like I'm here to provide a certain value, and I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the same exact thing. Like I was in the same boat and kind of in the same boat as you. We started off with the online programming kind of around the same time, and it was the same thing for me. Like when you start out, you're like, all right, I need to go a whole bunch of athletes, right? So I can kind of make my money and break even and be able to pay my bills. But then you get to a point where it's like, man, why? Because time is money, right? Why am I investing all this time and like really trying to make you better when you're just looking for a month program? And we all know nothing, like, yeah, something's going to change in a month, but not where you want to actually be at, right? Yeah. So I got to the same point where it was like, hey guys, like I need your commitment for this 4 to 6 months to really see improvement and be able to track things. But I also need you to be just as bought in as I am, because if you fill out that form and tell me that, hey, I want to get to a certain number of 40 time, or I want to go play in the States, or I want to go play in the ELF. Like that to me is like, all right, I've got to do everything I can to put you in the best situation. I'm not going to promise you that it's going to happen, right? But can we put you in the best spot, in the best predicament to be able to get there? I mean, we can't do that if you're not as bought in as I'm bought in, like you said. So it's really cool to hear. Like I said, it's refreshing to hear a European guy say all this stuff, but also alongside that, like you're doing it with individual guys, but you're also doing it with teams. You know,
Yeah.
so how do you not only get the players on the team to see what you're doing and implementing the discipline, but the coaches and the president, the president, the GM, all that stuff to bring you in and say that, hey, I am the strength and conditioning coach, but this is what I'm doing, and this is what's going to help you guys become a better team.
I'm a strong believer of being like professional in your area or industry, and to me there is a huge difference between being like know your worth and you're like secure with what you're doing and being arrogant, and in football, as a player or as a coach or as a strength conditioning coach, you need to be sure of what you're doing, because if you're like not sure of what you're doing, how can you get the trust of players to follow you or the organization to follow you? And some of it came with results, right? As a strength coach, if your athletes don't get results, who want to work with you? So I think our best like marketing is always, showing the result of the athletes, the way they like, maybe the way you're coaching, their improvement of performances or getting back from injuries. And as a coach is the record you have been with some teams, and references as well, from other guys that have been working with you. So to me, all those things are like linked to each other. And right now I'm in a spot, sometimes it's difficult because I'm still playing, I'm coaching, and I'm strength and conditioning coach. So I manage like different stuff. But to be honest, I'm like strong-minded and somehow. And when an organization or a players wants to work with me, I tell them that's the way I'm doing. Either you want me part of it, or you don't take me. But like when I'm coaching a team, like the second division team, I told them, yeah, this is the way I coach. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm not doing, and I will need assistance for that. And if you follow this, I can guarantee you that I will build a program that will get you to your goals. And at the end of the year, we sit down and you can judge what I have been doing. If you appreciate it, we keep going. If you don't, then you release me basically. And that's the same with, like strength and conditioning. Like when I take a team, I think it's hard, nowadays is, as we are strength and conditioning coach, I think if we speak the truth, we all agree that a player will be better coached with an individual strength and conditioning coach than a team strength and conditioning coach, because we have like much more time to invest and to specifically work with the guy. So when I take a team as a strength and conditioning coach, I always tell the guy, you have two choices. One, you follow the team workout plan, and there will be like either, big and skills or position or blah, blah, blah. 3 days a week or 4 days a week, different like variation. You can choose to do this one, and it's much better than not doing anything. Or you can specifically work with the coaches. But first I need to know who's that coach, so I can get in touch with him so we understand the needs of the team and the benchmark we're testing and what we look for. And if you do that, I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine. Like if I have a player from the Swiss national team, he doesn't want to follow my program, and he say, you know what, I'm work with Coach Chap. I would say, yeah, that's great, man. Do it. And then I will get in touch, with you, and I will say, those are the benchmark we're testing. Just make sure the guy is ready for that. We're gonna test the guy in that dates, and I trust what you're doing. And I think that when you are secure with your identity and your knowledge, you don't get scared when a player is working with someone else. And I have the feeling sometimes teams or coaches are so much scared of their own knowledge that they will tell the players, there is no way you're going to follow another program than mine. And to me, this is like, so you have a player that is ready to invest more money to get better, and you're telling him he's not allowed to do it, to do something which is like less good than what he would have get. And this is like, to me, like also get back, to the ego stuff. Like if I'm like secure with what I know and what I'm doing, I'm aware that training 45 guys at the same time with one or two different program, it's something different than taking case by case guy. And if one of those guys say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna invest, I like what you're doing, but I want to do something specific. So during my off season, I'm in Germany, in Stuttgart. I will work with Coach Chap, do my speed stuff. I'm gonna send the result. You will get in touch with the coaches. Hey, that's perfect. I see that guy is committed. Is like investing in himself, and that's fine to me. So yeah, it's to briefly answer your question. I think you need to know your worth, not being arrogant, and then you set the standards you want, you set the goals you want to reach as a strength coach, as a coaches, as a players, and you do whatever it takes to reach those goals.
That might hit a nerve for some strength coaches out there that hear that.
I know, and
not not only strength coaches gonna hit some nerves for some organizations just in general.
yeah, I mean, like what they're doing in the NFL. Players, they can do whatever they want in the off season as long as they come back in fucking shape during testing days. So
That's all that matters. Yep.
So yes, it's better to have like a strength coach in an organization, and it's mandatory to me at least during the season, because when you get into the season, you need the strength coach to be here to do those stuff. But during the off season, yes, it's great to have a strength coach so you can run academy, you can run stuff, you can do a program, but don't force the players to stick with something that is maybe not as good as what they could get if they are doing on their own stuff. This is just like,
Yeah.
and as I said, I don't pretend that I know everything. This is just my point of view. Like, give them some sort of freedom as long as it's like controlled and quality freedom.
For sure, I definitely agree with that. But yeah, that's it. Like we said, it's definitely going to strike some nerves. But it's different for me because I'm not on the side of being a strength and conditioning coach for a team and playing at the same time. That's something that you and Jay are dealing with now. So how do you navigate with your players that are playing alongside of you being the strength and conditioning coach, but also being a player alongside of him? Because I know Jay had to deal with it at first when he got the role of being the head of strength and conditioning coach. Or like, it's that the blurred lines that you kind of walk, that you're kind of like trying to figure out, like, am I still able to joke around with him, or like when do I take it serious? And like,
Professionalism,
right.
Yeah. So first, give me your opinion, Jay, on that, and then I will as well give mine.
Well, for me, it was kind of more so difficult because I didn't come in as a strength coach. I came in and was a teammate. So, I build a lot of camaraderie with guys. We go out, we party, we drink together. And then there's a sudden switch where I'm now the strength coach. So now it's like on my side, I know what it's like to be professional because I sometimes had those relationships with my strength coaches where I would, after lift, I would chill in their office and kick it, and we'd make jokes. Maybe we'd have a beer, but like I know the next day for a lift, I'm not going to be like, hey, coach, that beer, we were, you remember that comment? Like, it's just like, just for 1 hour. And I still have to tell the guys now, but like we may go out on a Friday night and then we have practice that Wednesday, or we have a lift that following week. And the guys are like, it's just like for 1 hour, I am the coach and you are a player. But I think that's something that's just taking time, and it's more so on their end and me just regurgitating like,
Yeah.
we have to keep that.
Yeah, I agree. Some of the players I was coaching in Bern, I'm playing with them right now, and I think when a player is like mature enough or professional enough, he understands when you're a player and when you're a coach. And on my side, I do the same. When I'm on the field, I'm a player, so I'm not gonna talk to them the way or like when I'm coaching them. So I try, and it has been a couple years. I'm switching caps, so now I'm pretty comfortable with it, and I know when I need to switch. And I think it's always, it's not what you're saying, it's the way you're saying it sometimes, so when I'm playing, for example, and I see a players that he start to getting injured. For example, he's touching his hamstring a couple of times during practice, and I start to see that, and I know he's not following my plan. And at first, I would have been like, oh shit, that guy, I was sure he's not training well, and I would get pissed. And now I stay, concentrate in the practice, whatever. And then at the end, I came to him and said, well, you get injured or something. And you're saying, yeah, my hamstring. And I said, you know what? If you want to, you can text me, but make sure you take care of it. You go to the physio, you go to the doctor, and then we work on your rehab plan. And I try, to not take things personally anymore, but just trying to, be as professional as I can and bring something positive to the guys. So I reached the point I know not all the players will follow my rules and my programs, but I'm still there to help them to get better anyhow. So if I can help them to get better as a player is playing. So when I'm playing, I am 100% in what I'm doing. And when the practice is done, I can choose which cap I have, If I have a coaching meeting with the coaches and assist those guys, I will be a coach and not a player. And then when a player texts me for strength and conditioning coach, I'm going to be the strength and conditioning coach. And the players understand that I can be those guys, and the hardest part is not mixed in them, so if you have like an argument with a player as a player on the field, and then that player as an issue as a strength coach, I shouldn't report that argument back into the strength and conditioning stuff. I should just say, okay, well, that's totally different person. This is a new guy coming with an issue, and I will treat that issue as a strength coach. And when I'm on the field, I'm a player. If I have an issue with someone, it's just like a playing issue. It's not like a personal issue. It's just like something based on the field.
I wanted to ask you real quick, what do those benchmarks and metrics look like that you kind of just to dive down into that just a little bit look like for your athletes on where you need them to be before the season starts, or like goals that you have these teams, I guess, base your performance off of?
So, I mean, both of you guys know there are like tremendous, like a lot of ways we can test players, right? And if you follow different strength coach, they're gonna have like a bunch of different stuff they want to test. And at the end, to me, it's a matter of how can you be efficient, quick, with like the minimal, like I would say, restrictions, because of course, if you have like laser gates, if you have like valve platform, if you have like a gym aware, if you have like your own gym with like 20 spots, the players live by the facilities, you can do a bunch of stuff. And then sometimes you need to reduce those, but still being, like efficient enough so you can test the guys. So usually what I'm doing is I'm trying to say, okay, we need like a base of strengths work, right? And what do I want to test with those guys if I don't follow them like on a regular basis, for example? And usually I try to get the hip extension. So I work with the trap bar deadlift. So I can like go with like a five rep max to 1 rep max. They can choose what they want to do. And then we have like I'm looking for like a strength ratio with this body weight ratio. And I usually set up like a limit. So if they reach this, they don't need to get stronger. This is like strong enough. And then I go for upper body strength, and then it's like the same with the bench press. And then I go with like leg strength, and I go with the squats. And this is like something, it's not always I do this, because when you have like a huge amount of players, you reach the problem of the range of motion of the squats, right? I mean, you face that. Is like if you ask the players to reach a certain depth, 30% of those guys won't reach that depth no matter what, and you have to deal, oh, they are strong enough, is it like a mobility issue, or just like because their ego, they want to increase the weight and then stop going low enough. So either I do box squat and I set up like a height with this, or if I follow them like really closely, we set up some proper foundation, and then when we validate the form, they increase the weight. So if I have to select like strength tests, those are gonna be the strength tests. Then I also have some power tests. And with the power test, I choose always to have like a vert jump. And the vert jump, I can choose, a vertec, if we have a vertec, for example, if we want to do something like close to the combine, or we can use the valve platform, and I can choose, it could be like free arms or just like only like a counter movement jump with hands on the hips. It depends the data you want to analyze, because obviously with other sports you have more data with the hands on the hips, especially with valve, for example. So this is like, yeah, vert jump, broad jump, this is for sure. I do this. And sometimes I try also to test some unilateral stuff. So I do some single leg broad jump, so then I can check if there is any disbalances between jumps. I do also a single leg rotational jump. This is more for hockey player to see, those lateral power development, or baseball athletes as well. I do this. Power also, depending on the experience of the player, I work with the clean or power clean. But this is like, not so many players in Europe are familiar with Olympic lifting. So I try to select the players I want to work with this. It's not like something I spend too much time teaching when I have only like 12 or 16 weeks with someone. And then I have the speed stuff. And on the speed stuff, usually I have two things. There is like the code, change of direction, and linear speed. So on the code, obviously I'm checking the shuttle stuff, and based on position, especially defensive guys, I'm trying to teach to coach and measure the trick-on drill, so the L drill. And on if I take like, for example, a hockey player or basketball player, I'm checking a short pro shuttle 363 only on shuffle. So it's only like lateral. There is no like sprints. It's just like shuffle 3, shuffle 6, shuffle 3. So basketball and hockey player. And linear stuff, I test 10 yards, and I only test the 40 yards when I'm training players for combine, because when I only have like 12 weeks or 16 weeks with a team, or I only manage them, remote coaching wise. For example, the Swiss national team, I don't follow them through the year. They just come for tests. We have like a bunch of weeks. You can be sure if you test the 40s, you will lose 2 guys with hamstring. So,
that boy banged his hand on the table. He done dealt with it.
Do you agree with this, or?
Totally.
100%.
I don't even let my guys do. I don't even let some of these guys do 30s.
The 40s, we're gonna test the 40s, and those guys never run, and they come, and oh shit, you know what? I pulled my hamstring. Oh, what a surprise! So I like to test the 10 yards for sure, and then if I'm building someone and I know I have time, and he's doing some flying test, he's doing some max speed stuff, and we're sure is ready to run, those 40s, then I will run the 40s. But I really like some flying tests, like 10 to 30 or 10 to 20, and I think so I can check the max velocity they can get there. I really like this. So yeah, these are like all the tests I have, but that doesn't mean like a player will go through all those tests, right? It's just like a bunch of tests I have and I can use when I want to. And the last thing is I try also to check how they are uh, relative strengths are, So I have like the pull-ups or chin-ups, a max push-ups, and also sort of like max goblet squats with 50% of their body weight. And this is just like sometimes I do this so I can check if there is an issue with their relative strengths. Because if an athlete is like lacking this, then we need to correct that like at first. It depends, position wise and what sport they are doing. But to me, there is still like a link in between how you move your mass. And if you can't move your mass, you can be fast.
Oh yeah, I
That's
love that.
golden. That's
Yeah,
golden.
yeah. My man's really been putting in the work and studying, you know, all the ins and outs and kind of paying attention to his athletes. But on top of that, now you've opened up your own gym. How how did you get there to that point? Because that's pretty much every when you get into this coaching field, that's kind of like every coach's dream. Have their own facility, location that is theirs, right? So they run the things the way they want to run it. How did you get there?
Jay, you have your own, right?
No, I don't. This is a facility given to me by the team.
Okay. But you build it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you'd be part of the project, correct?
Well, the first strength coach that came here, I don't know. I can't even take any credit for that. He laid out the blueprint through like whatever app it was that he had on his computer. He laid out the blueprint. He went out and searched for the sponsorships to get all the hammer strength materials. But no, that was all on him.
Okay.
Shout out to Nick fam for that. Yeah.
Because I saw that a couple of years ago. I was like, damn, that guy is putting the work as well. He's doing the great stuff. And so, yeah, everyone, when we're working in that industry, we want to get our gym with our like philosophy and stuff. I mean, that's the unofficial like invitation for you guys. If you came in Switzerland, you come by to my gym. We will have a session together.
Say
You,
less.
you already know we're pulling up now.
Yeah, you know what? Come here and coach for the mercenaries. Okay, this is an open invitation. If you want to come and coach for the mercenaries, all right. Joke aside, this feels great because my identity started with a joke when I was coaching the Tonon Black Panthers. Like I put a story and I said, yeah, that's a great day in the zoo. And the reason why behind this was when you look at a football team, you have like a bunch of different like shape as players, right? You have like small guys, fast guys, agile guys, like heavier guys, strong guys, tall guys. Yeah, and they look like different animals, right? And so I put that up, and then every players were starting to say, I want to be part of the zoo. Can I join the zoo? And all that stuff. So when I built my gym, there is like a huge, like 10 meters length and 5 meters height bear in Yosemite Park, like a huge landscape of this. Because I'm linked with the bear because of the logo, of course, and the Yosemite Park is my favorite place on earth. So I decided to build that, and I kept that, like industrial, like gym style. So everything is gray and black and brute, So uh, I feel great because it feels like home. This is my place. This is totally like built like the way I wanted to. I can do everything, because when you work in the gym, sometimes you're missing something. Oh, that would be great if I have, a gym aware. That would be great if I have like a Swiss bar. That would be great if I can do Olympic lifting. And then you always have to deal with the situation and the facilities you're working in. So I decided at some point that I was working in an amazing gym in Switzerland that was like 2,000 meters square gym. They were like an indoor hockey shot place. They were like a 40s track and field sprinting lane. We had a bunch of stuff. Pretty much all my athletes were working there, but it wasn't my place. We always had the feeling we get there and and people were looking at us sometimes because we were doing some noises. There were physio working and we took a lot of place. We were jumping, sprinting, throwing stuff. And when you get 10 guys, American football players working with back squat and chain, throwing balls against the wall, joking around, jumping and sprinting, this is like for people weird, because they're like, what the fuck are they doing? Like why they are like moving around, throwing stuff, yelling, So, and I was like, well, that would be great if I have my own place somehow. And also, it's easy to be an online strength coach, right? I mean, everyone can do it. You go, you build a program, you do a fancy marketing, and you say, you know what, I'm a strength coach. But when you add a gym to it, that builds some credibility. Like, oh shit, when you invest in the gym, it's much more than just like selling plans. And I wanted as much as I can to dissociate myself with selling something. I'm not selling plan, I'm coaching people. And we talked about this with Jay right before. Where I don't want to sell something, I want to coach someone. And that's a big difference to me. And the gym is not only like my place, it's like a sanctuary for my athletes. They know that place is their home as well. So when they enter here, they feel home. They know, they're everything, so they can perform and they can leave everything, outside of the gym. So I decided to open it this year because last year I signed a contract for a youth hockey program, 300 kids, summer off ice. It's like 8 to 12 weeks in Switzerland. And I was training 15 sessions a week, U13, U15, U17s. And
we forgot to mention this.
oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. But you know what is the great part of it? The great part of it? This is from now to end of June. And this is now the preseason camp with the mercenaries. And this is now the season with the second division team. So I forget to mention.
Hey, I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way though.
And that's why I'm so fucking busy. But I took.
But I'm sure you wouldn't. I'm sure you wouldn't have it any other way. No
podcast with you guys. So you see, it's a matter of priority.
We appreciate it.
So I had those kids, and I hire some of my athletes that they are interesting in coaching later. And I say, you know what? That's gonna be a good opportunity for you to work with kids. We're gonna do some simple stuff. I will be with you, but you will start to implement the technique I've been teaching you with kids. And we were moving around 6 or 7 places per week, because like renting a gym to get those kids to train them. And we were, like in regular like school gym, so no equipment, or on the parking slot, no equipment. And I was like, well, if I do it again next year, I will find somewhere we can actually, train them and do some like quality stuff, because I had the feeling I was just sometimes, occupy them somehow. So we do stuff, but it's not like the best way we can do it. And when I signed again that contract this year, I said, okay, Dave, I need a gym close by so we can start to build a culture. So they know that from the U13 to the U20, there will be a progression of speed, a progression of power, a progression of learning the movement pattern. So when they reach that U20, they are fucking athletes. They are not in the learning process anymore. And I needed to start working with the U13 so I can introduce mobility. Some, like hockey player, it's terrible with the thoracic extension because they're like this with their stick. All those adductor problems, ankle problem because they're on skates, and all that stuff. And I was like, well, when I work with those guys, just like a couple of weeks, I can do anything. But if I can start with a U13 team and we build up, and it will take some years because at the first year I need to do everything the same, but then I can, those U13 will become U15, then U17, and then U20, and then we'll have reached the whole process. Then we can start to have like a changing perspective of how they have been learning strength and conditioning for hockey. So I said to myself, that's my goal. I want to get a gym so I can do an efficient program with them, and I start to build a culture for that club. So that's the reason why I opened that gym like this year.
Man, that's impressive, and that's the way you build the culture, right? You don't just start from, oh, I'm just going to take professional athletes. Like, you got to start from the youth level and
Yeah.
build them all the way up and take them through the whole process and give them the why. But not only that, give them a place that feels like home. That, when you come through those doors, the culture. You in the zoo, right? Like, it's time to go when you come in there. And man, that is awesome, man. Because that right there just shows that there is opportunity here, like in Europe to build something that hasn't fully been done yet. Like you said, you were renting places out, moving from spot to spot, like having to find locations to use, people looking at y'all crazy because you're throwing around balls, you're yelling, you're lifting heavy weight, you're running fast, you're jumping high. But in order to do that, like, you had to build up your own place. And man, a lot of credit to you for what you're doing down there and continuing to do. Like, we're excited to get down there and check you out in Switzerland, since we already got the open invite now.
Yeah,
But my
it's
last
an
question,
open invite, and I have another open invite for you guys. I think we should start to build some speed camps across Europe, and getting us together with those kids in different places in Europe, so we start to build that culture of learning to run like the way we're doing locally, but we try to spread it, and I really like the idea. Maybe, sometimes I'm like naive or whatever, but I like the idea of we are different coaches, we're our own brands, but we know that we respect each other and we can do something all together that's not going to impact our business because we are secure enough in our business, and we like to work together for the grind and for the love of develop the game, and this is like an idea I had in mind. And this is another invitation, is working on like a brand for speed camp we can do all across Europe, from Denmark to Switzerland to Germany to Italy, Spain, whatever, and we teach those kids how to run.
hey, you
Yeah,
you heard,
man, absolutely.
hey, you heard it here first. The idea has been put out there. Be ready, be on the lookout for speed camps coming all throughout Europe, because I mean, we only get better if we all work together, right? We're all working in our local areas, but we all have so much knowledge to give. And that's, I think, another huge reason why we started this podcast, is guys like yourself, like, coming on that are fully European and telling their side of things on how they started it. But the last thing I would ask you, man, is, you got a beginner coach coming in, or you've got a coach that's been in the game for a little bit. What would be your best piece of advice to them?
If a strength coach comes to me,
Yeah.
first, you say, get a mentor. Like, get a mentor you can work with, so he can. To me, there are a lot of like stuff you can learn from books or from certification, but when you are handling athletes, you need to work on the field with them. You need to get experience with them. And if you spend a couple of times with a strength and conditioning coach, he will give you some tips how to manage the athletes, how you're gonna because there is like the human side as well. There are like the only like the theory stuff, like I do set, reps, rest, intensity, whatever, but there is like a human behind this that will use that program, and you need to interfere with that human and understand how it works. So getting a mentor you can follow, and it will give you some tips, and you can understand which philosophy you want to sell and which philosophy he believes in. I think to me it's something that I was missing at first, and then I don't remember who was saying this, but I was watching a video and a guy said, get inspired by two or three guys, not more. Two or three guys that you believe, that you love the way they are working out with their athletes, and follow them, and try to understand the way they are interacting with their athletes, because that's the best way to build your own philosophy. And when you reach a certain experience, we have our own belief and philosophy, and this is evolving, and this is not something that stays static, but we have our, some way we program stuff, some way we believe things work and work well. And as a young coach, sometimes we think we know because we get the certification, but that's where the work starts. It's when you're going to start that an athlete said, you know what, I'm going to choose John because I believe that working with him will help me to get to the next level. And this is like a critical, like pressure, because an athlete gives you in your hands the trust that you will make the work so he can perform. So you better be ready. And just getting the certification without experience, I think you're missing like the biggest part of the job.
Hell yeah. That's
I
dope
fucking
right
love
there.
it, John.
Man, hey, that is episode number 8 right there.
If you're in Stuttgart and you want to be a strength coach, work with Coach Jay. Okay, if you're in Denmark, work with you. If you're in Switzerland, work with me. And I'm sure there is great coaches all around Europe. But yeah, if you're a young coach, don't think you know stuff because you have finished your certification. Find a mentor, work with him, ask him questions, share some stuff, and always improve and try to learn. I mean, I always have a certification ongoing. Right now, I'm doing like a mental prep stuff because I want to learn that aspect of managing athletes, because I feel sometimes I'm totally secure when I need to plan stuff, but when an athlete tells me, I feel anxiety when I get to a game, I'm losing confidence, I'm like, well, I'm lacking tools to help him. So I want to have at least some tools I can use, and understanding what he's going through, because my own experience is not enough. It's something you need to understand the process, you get through. So this is, always get into like learning stuff, sharing and learning,
I
Man,
love that.
hey, you
And
said
you're
it all,
confident in
man.
yourself.
Like, he said it all himself. I don't need to give no outro. That is Coach John on episode number 8. We appreciate you, bro.
Thank you,
And we
guys.
can't wait to come down and check you out, bro.
Yeah, sure. Let's get in touch, Code.